Alright, so I'm back at the video with Kirk, and I'm just with the people news. Never look straight forward, always look around you, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Arm yourself with knowledge. Use that Second Amendment, people. Okay? And right now I'm just kind of using the First Amendment. Alright, I'm not an attorney, not giving legal advice. Anything I say or do is just my opinion only. Alright? It's educational only. Do your own research. I'm hearsay. Okay? Do not just take everything with a grain of salt with due to I'm not an attorney. Alright, I just want to bring out there's a maximum law. Okay? And I'll describe it in a kind of a short and easy contents. Alright, so if there's 100 judges and all judges are doing wrong, and that's all the judges, okay? And everybody's trying to go to the judges and get remedy, okay? But if they're all operating in wrongdoing and you cannot get remedy due to the wrongdoers, right? Well, there's this thing called maximum law that actually says, in short, that it's so wronged, it makes it right. It became really more of a creature, a habit, and it's been accepted. Okay? And this is the reason why we're having hard times in court, our government officials and all that. They've been so wrongdoing that you cannot get remedy. Well, it's designed that way. You cannot get remedy because if you start getting remedy, then somebody in there is not a wrongdoer. And that's the reason why when you try to sue judges, well, you got to sue a judge. Then you got to use a judge that's on the judge's behalf, and you're never going to get remedy through that process within reason, right? I mean, the judge has to be really outrageous to have something done about it. And it would have to be on public view. This is the reason why they don't like you filming them in court. We cannot have the people knowing how wrongdoing and how dirty the floor is in the house. And this is the reason, one of the reasons why we cannot really get a whole lot of remedy and get everything set back into the Federalist Republic Constitution, is because they shielded themselves with sovereign citizen immunity and all that, that it's highly unlikely we're ever going to get remedy going through the process of today. And due to this, maximum law, all right? So basically what that maximum law says, that everything is so wrong and so accepted that they now are considered innocent. I don't make these things up, people. I mean, it's just the stupidest thing, but it makes a whole confound effects, right? This is the reason why I'm led to believe and do believe in our Constitution that we have a right to abolish said G, right? If they've been so out of control, because that's the only way you can do it, right? You cannot really go in there and uncorrupt the corrupt when they hold all the cards and say, now we're so corrupt, we're innocent, and we're not going to hold ourselves liable. So, and I'm led to believe and do believe that's what the founding fathers did, right? The Brits, now we call Brits, but the Brits were so corrupt, we had to step away. We had to create our own country, and our Constitution now is we have a right to abolish things that's been going on, right? And because we got to clean our house. And I'm also led to believe in a peaceful manner that we can use our petition or redress or grievance and monstrance into the state house and force them to start cleaning this up as well, because that's a different agency from the judicial agency. Now, that being said, I'm not an attorney, not giving legal advice. Do your own research, okay? This educational purposes only. All right? It don't mean they're wrong doers, and it don't mean they're right doers. Wink, wink, wink. Cover that butt. All right. And we can tell how corrupt it is when I shown case law when when jurisdiction's been challenged, it needs to be clear, right? And again, we talked about this previous, right? All the attorneys, all the judges, oh, he just has it. They got magical powers. They have jurisdiction because they say they do. And when the plaintiff has the burden of proof to proceed forward in the said case to get the standing, they got to have the subject matter jurisdiction to proceed forward. We're not even supposed to ask the judge if the judge has jurisdiction. It's supposed to be just sitting there minding its own business. Dang. We've got a bug flipping around here. Outside nature. Ugh, coming indoors, out of the weather. That being said, we got to at least understand the basics, right? And there's good attorneys out there, so I'm not going to down them all. I just found very few of them. But the one thing that we need to know about is if your attorney, or if you hear of any attorney saying we can't do that, then that's the time to maybe start to research law and be a pro se to activate our wheel in the court system and say, hey, get back in honor and put everything on the record. All right, enough yapping. Sorry, this is going to be a short video due to my yapping, but I wanted to be clear on the maximum law and the reason why we're having such a hard time getting remedy. Let's go.
Is all noted. And so at this point, then I'm going to use that as the expiration date. Ms. Carstensen, do you have a trial setting order? Let's see, I'm not sure. Usually the trial setting order is generated by defense, but I don't know if the city is able to do that.
I don't know, Your Honor. I can log into Adobe right now. I should be able to generate such an order. If you could just give me a few minutes, I'm happy to look into that.
Okay, why don't you do that? Thank you.
So, thank you.
Your Honor, is the court proceeding under the presumption that all of those cases would be consolidated and tried together? Because I don't agree to that.
Well, what I'm going to do is set them for now together. If you want to make a motion to have them set separately, then that I will leave that to you to do that. So we need to have a starting point. Let's see. Actually, Ms. Carstensen, I know you're working on the trial setting order.
Let's stop right there, right? She just said we need a starting point. Well, the starting point is answering the jurisdiction issue. We got to get that out of the way before we proceed forward. Okay? That's been clearly established. That's the starting point. But she's bypassing it and forcing the wheel for the course to proceed forward without yet providing subject matter jurisdiction.
So Mr. Ben Schoof sir, I just want to make sure I understood. Are you asking for a separate trial date for each case?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And what's the city's position on that?
Your Honor, logistically, I'm not sure how feasible setting each of these trials separately is. Ms. Outland would be responsible for prosecuting these trials rather. And we need preferably 4 weeks to send subpoenas out to the city's witnesses and give the city and their witnesses enough time. And with that in mind, and the amount of cases that Mr. Benshoof has, I don't know that it's possible to set a trial every single week before expiration runs out. So I think the best way to do this is to set all of the cases on essentially for the same date. And additionally, because I'm not familiar with these cases, I can't really speak to the facts that would support either joinder or severance at this time. My argument is solely based on the amount of cases and the expiration date and how actually feasible possible it is to try these cases separately.
Okay, all right.
Sit and think about that, right? How, if you're not an attorney and you're pro se, how daunting is it to go through every single case and put it into one case when you got several different jurisdiction challenges per case? And then you got motions per case, but you're supposed to set all, let's just say 12 cases there. Well, he's got to fill out 12 motions per case and then rebut the 12. And then, they're supposed to come back and rebut and all that. So I can see that other side, it'd be easier to do one case at a time so he fully understands what he is doing in per se case for himself. The attorneys, like the city, has got help. They got, X amount of people in there to kind of help go through. But what they're doing is going to get it lost in the mail and overwhelm the one man that has to do this. Matter of fact, in jail while he's in there. And it's designed on purpose to do this. Most reasons they just combined it together because most people actually does a plea bargain, which is the reason why they congested up so they can do a plea bargain easier. And a man or woman go ahead and sets his time out and reasonable and say, hey, we're going to cancel this. We're going to cancel this. If you do this, if you make a plea on this case and all that. Well, if he's going to fight every single case, it don't benefit them, the city.
So, Mr. Benshoof, what's happening then? It's just because we have their expiration on these cases is September 23rd. There isn't enough time to assign a separate date to each case. But I want to make sure you understand, by setting these all on the same date, it doesn't mean they'd all be tried together. They would still be separate cases, but for the time being, because they can only be tried one at a time, we're just giving them a date for now with the same trial date.
I understand, Your Honor, and for the court's information and the prosecution as well, as far as the DV cases go, 669329 was the progenitor of all the other DV cases. That the dismissal of that case, which is an inevitability, will basically vacate all of the other DV cases. So, while it may seem daunting to the court right now that there's so many potential cases, that one case will resolve all of the other cases.
Okay. We've had other people with multiple cases too, so it does seem a little daunting. It's true, but I think we'll be able to manage. Okay, so we'll get these all set for the same date. Let's see. In terms of dates, so September 23rd expiration. So, Mr. Benshoof, let's see. Let me hear from the city first in terms of Ms. Outland's availability prior to September 29th.
That actually was a really good idea. If he can get the first one started and actually get that dismissed or adjudicated or whatever, and actually get that, if they're all kind of step down from one another by the extension of the one case, if he has that one case then that really leaves all the other cases with zero standing as well. So that makes perfectly good sense. That being said, I haven't read all these cases. But if what he's describing is one particular case is the start of all these other cases. So by all rights, that's extensions of the particular case. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Outland did not indicate that she had any availability between now and September 29th. I'm sorry for getting a little off track here, Your Honor, but in order for me to finish the trial setting order, I will need an email to send to Mr. Benshute. It's part of the Adobe kind of required boxes.
Okay.
With me rambling off, that kind of shortened this down. So my next video is going to be longer. So I'm going to apologize with that. End it for now. This will be the People News. Bye, y'all.